Hello and welcome to Evolve by Erica, the podcast. I'm Erica Polsinelli, your host, and we are here to talk about all things spirituality, 5D, high vibrational, health, wellness, and beyond. Welcome. I am so happy that you are here. Come on in. Hello, guys, and welcome back for another episode. I'm so excited to sit down and chat today as I feel I have some exciting things to share. So I hope that your new year started off well. In Evolve, we have been doing a 21-day challenge, which is coming to an end. And it has been really special coming together and doing a collective challenge specifically for manifestation as we embark on this new calendar year. So, as I said in my New Year episode, we do not have to subscribe to this big beginning at the beginning of January. We could ease into it and slow ourselves down and gently approach this new year. And if that is how you went into 2023, that is wonderful. I know I needed a lot of time not to work and to recharge and to rest in early January, especially after the energetic upgrades that came from the winter solstice. I really felt such a shift from that time period. So I hope that however you enter this new year, you have found acceptance and peace around it because you are exactly where you are meant to be. And as we began this challenge, I received so much clarity, so much guidance, and I wanted to share some of it and then talk a little bit more deeply on one specific topic today. But something I loved is that collectively in Evolve right now, we are really deep in this energy of manifestation. And whenever we have a collective intention or energy, it just makes everything that much more powerful. So you can either follow the meditation we're doing and be part of the challenge or not and use Evolve for all the resources that are there and available to you. But I had this really interesting idea that I think I want to try out for 2023. And I would love your feedback, of course. I would like to have a collective intention each month. And by doing that, it does not mean there has to be a 21-day challenge each month. You can do whatever challenge you want. You could do a 40-day challenge, but I want there to be a bigger focus around each month. So January was all about manifestation and our arc lines, our aura, magnetizing that. And February is going to be all about self-love and boundaries, which I think is such an important conversation to have and focus to have. So I wanted to spend this podcast talking about what guided me to that and some things I want to share around self-love and boundaries. And what this means looking ahead for Evolve in February is that our meditations are going to be having that common thread. So, what that means is that the meditations for that month, there's not going to be one meditation for 21 days straight or 30 days straight, as there was for this meditation challenge. But each of the meditations on the schedule that month will be related to bringing in self love, bringing in confidence, and respecting our boundaries, healing things that have stopped us from possibly enforcing and having those boundaries, putting those boundaries into place. So as soon as I got this idea, a list of very specific focuses for each month just flew right through me, which is really how I work in every way. This just a little bit of a peek inside of how I work and how Evolve works. I'm never seeking anything. I'm never trying to make something work. It really comes to me as a message, as guidance of how I should go and how I should lead. And this came through very clearly. So February is going to be all about self-love and acceptance, confidence, and boundaries. And I wanted to open up this conversation around these two topics through the podcast because what better way than connecting all of this and going as deeply as possible? So whether you're an Evolve member or not, you can definitely tune into this guidance and wisdom that I'm going to share that is going to just stream right through me, through my guides, through the universe, through my higher power. And if you're not already a member and you're guided to do this work, please reach out if you have any questions, sign up, and be part of this really powerful community that we've created together. So, okay. Self-love. Let's start there. So, how we feel about ourselves, how we treat ourselves, what we think about ourselves ripples out as a frequency. And when we love ourselves and when we have confidence, other people feel that. And when we do not love ourselves and we lack confidence, people feel that as well. And I think it is our responsibility to find that inner healing work and be able to come to a place where we accept ourselves for where we are, for who we are, because we're in this life as ourselves, and this is how we're going to live out this lifetime. We have to get comfortable in this body, in this physical body, comfortable with who we are, and then allow that to expand out and bring in the relationships that are aligned to us. So, and I don't want any of what I'm going to say to put pressure on anyone or make you feel bad if you are not in a place of self-love right now. But I think it's our responsibility to love and support ourselves so that the rest of the world can really see who we truly are. And by loving ourselves, accepting ourselves, appreciating ourselves, honoring ourselves, that creates more space for others to do the same. And every relationship really starts from this relationship that we have with ourselves. So this is much, much more easier said than done. I'm going to give you some ways that I work on self-love, and hopefully they can help you and guide you. I want you to know first that anything that has happened in the past, that is now in the past. It doesn't have to be part of your story. And the first step to stepping into this space is surrendering all of that. And maybe we just take a moment right now to go back into our lives, go back to the child that once lived and lives within us, and visualize her or him at any age that comes to mind. And I want you to tell that child version of who you are today how much you love him or her, how much you accept that child for exactly who they are. And I want you to embrace that child, hugging that child, telling that child that everything is going to be okay. And take a long, deep breath as you do that. And exhale, release it out, and let it all go. Let it go. Reminding yourself again, what's happened in the past no longer exists. It is no longer part of your story. You're allowed to let that go. Coming into this new space, starting to feel into acceptance for yourself and love for yourself. And it all starts within. It does not matter what anyone else thinks of you. It does not matter what anyone else says about you or feels about you. This is truly an inside job, a job that we have to do on our own within ourselves to establish that powerful and solid transformation and foundation. So, the first thing I want to share is the self-love meditation as a means of creating the self-love within you. And the reason why this is so powerful is because sometimes we can't talk ourselves into loving ourselves. These other techniques that I'm about to share after this suggestion may not do it for us. They may, but you might still hit a wall and feel a block of really embracing yourself. And that's the power of this practice. And that's why when there's nothing more to say or do, we just go within our practice and we do the meditation and we're able to feel that frequency of love and bring that into our space. And when we bring that into our body and we feel that for ourselves, we could feel that so much deeper for everyone else. And that is why healing ourselves heals other people too. When we can love and accept ourselves, we judge others less. We can love and shower them more with love. We know that love isn't finite, it's infinite. There's an abundance of love to give and offer, but it's something that we have to work for sometimes within ourselves. So the self-love meditation is going to be revamped, and this is a meditation to correct your field, to patch any holes or any damage to the aura. It's a self-blessing where the right arm that's going to be over your head is shining down into your body, filling you up with that self-love. And then the left hand that faces out is going to shine out to the world. It comes in, it fills us up, and then that's shared. And that's the cycle. That's the cycle of love and the cycle of life. Whatever comes in, we're able to elevate from, and then we have enough. We're filled up to be able to give that to others. And this meditation also helps us to attract in love, whether it be a romantic partner, a relationship that we feel we're lacking in our lives. And in order to love ourselves and attract in love from the outside, it starts with this meditation. So that's the first thing that I'm suggesting on this path of self-love work. Another thing is observing where your thoughts go throughout the day. And we did this during the manifestation challenge, and I want you to now do this with the lens of self-love. How do you speak to yourself? How do you speak about yourself, whether that be to yourself or to others? And start to observe. Start to observe that dialogue. And as you observe it, you're going to learn. You're going to learn about the relationship you have with yourself, and you might learn about the relationships you have with others based off of how you speak about yourself, what you expect of yourself, and so on. So start to become the observer. And as you start to observe the words and the frequency of the energy or thoughts that you have about yourself, that you speak to yourself or think of yourself, I want you to push yourself to find the more expansive dialogue, the more expansive thought, a thought or a word or an affirmation that's filled with more self-love, and bring that in. Bring that in as often as possible. The next thing I want to recommend, and this kind of piggybacks on what I just shared, but in the mirror, what is your dialogue like? When you look in the mirror at yourself, what are you saying? And I want you to go to the mirror each morning, look at yourself, and find something to compliment on yourself, whether it's physical or within. Mirror work doesn't have to be about the physical. What is it that that person holds that's looking in the mirror? Is it courage? Is it strength? Whatever it may be. And I want you to come up with 2 or 3 things each morning to start your day as you get ready. Another thing that you can do is explore Beautiful Chorus. They are a great artist. I play their music so often. And find one of their mantras of affirmation and play it as often as possible. So there's one that's, I am perfect as I am. I am perfect as I am. Or, my body is mine. My body is beautiful. Just these, they have such a beautiful technique of bringing in these affirmations with a melody, with a frequency, and you start to hear it. You start to think it, you start to sing it, and you start to embody that vibration and play it as often as possible. Maybe find one that you want to stick with this month as we focus on self-love, and play it as often as possible. Maybe 3 times a day, maybe all day, every day, depending on if and when you can. You start to just take on this frequency. So those are my suggestions for self-love. And I also, one last one is, be aware of the content you consume and how you feel when you consume it, what you're looking at on social media. Just be aware and take a point to notice the accounts or the content or the podcasts that help you feel like your most beautiful and aligned self. And be aware of that. and let go of the rest, let go of what no longer serves you there. Okay. So those are some of my suggestions for bringing in more self-love. The next thing I wanted to focus on this month, because I think this goes hand in hand with self-love, is boundaries. And I've learned a lot about boundaries. I would say more over the past year and a half than ever. I was definitely someone who had no boundaries. I've been someone who always allowed themselves to be at the expense of others. Whenever other people needed me, I was there for them. It's kind of, I guess, how I found worth in ways. Um, I felt a long time in my life, I felt other people's happiness was my responsibility, and I had to work hard to help other people find that. And what I've grown to learn is that boundaries are a form of self love. And if we have a boundary, it can be very hard to implement or even enforce. And by not having a boundary, we are not respecting ourselves. And then we're allowing other people to not respect ourselves. And then resentment builds. And then we start to think about that person as something they are not, because we allowed them to do something we weren't comfortable with, but we didn't have the courage or the confidence or the life force energy to implement that boundary. And that is not their problem. That is our problem. So, what I've been learning a lot about boundaries is it's very hard to implement them, but once you start to do it, it becomes your superpower. And by doing this, you are sharing with people how you would like to be treated. And that is a reflection of how you treat yourself. So by having very clear boundaries, you're allowing other people to see, look, this is how, these are the expectations I have of myself. These are the boundaries I have to implement. And if this is going to work, you are going to honor them and respect my boundaries. And what I've learned from this is that by creating boundaries, we create a safer space, not just for ourselves, but for other people. Let me give you an example. If I was to not honor my boundaries and say yes to someone about something I really didn't want to do or be part of, I am then doing something for them or with them or whatever it may be that doesn't feel in alignment with myself. So I'm not showing up with my highest energy. I'm showing up out of alignment. That is not quite fair to them. If someone loves and cares about us and doesn't feel like we're honoring our boundaries, they might have a difficult time coming to ask us stuff because they might be worried that we are overextending and doing something that doesn't feel good just to people please or to be kind. That puts them in a weird position. Can you just see from those examples how that shifts the energy? Another example is think of the person in your life that has freaking clear ass boundaries. And that might make you a little scared of them sometimes to approach them or ask them something because you know you might get rejected. However, at the same time as it's uncomfortable, it actually could be so much more comfortable asking those people for whatever it is you want or reaching out to them in whatever way, because you know they're going to be honest with you. They're going to give you a hell yes or a hell freaking no. And you know you're going to get the truth. So when we start to establish boundaries, we're creating a much better frequency for the relationship and of that communication, because we're honoring ourselves. So therefore we're honoring the other person. Therefore we're going into whatever it is with the right frequency, a frequency of alignment rather than overextending or rather than people pleasing. So I believe that boundaries are a form of self-care and self-love. And in order to love ourselves, we need to know that we need to know what depletes our energy. We need to know what is not a form of self-love. We need to know what leaves us feeling empty or drained. And we have to be able and willing to take inventory and decide, what is the boundary going to be? And what I found to be very helpful with boundaries is coming up with a phrase or a sentence or a complete thought that you can share in that moment when someone's asking something of you that's really hard for you to say no to, but you know that you need to. So maybe saying, I know that I've done this in the past and I actually have had to create a new way of doing that, or I've done this in the past and it hasn't left me feeling good. I just being honest sometimes and being very simple about how it's made you feel, what you can and cannot do is a really good way to approach it. So I want you to remember that boundaries are definitely an example and a method of honoring yourself, having love for yourself as well as other people, because every experience, every engagement we have with others is an energetic contract, and we enter with a frequency. And for someone who's asking a lot of you and you approach it from a different frequency, sometimes that opens us up to be more reactive, say things that in the end we wish we did not say, or go about something with a different energy and frequency. And then we're left to feel guilty. We're left to feel depleted. It's hard to do the work to create the foundation for boundaries. But once we do, it becomes so much easier. And it starts to become like that superpower where, oh, I remember last time it wasn't easy, but I did it. I created my boundary and I'm going to stick with that this time because it felt empowering. It felt really good to honor myself. And it gets easier as you go. So I hope that this was helpful. For the month of February, we are going to be showering ourselves in so much self-love because every relationship starts from the relationship with ourselves. And by observing that conversation in our mind, observing how we talk about ourselves or to ourselves is essential. And if this work feels too hard, or if you're not getting the hang of it, going into that meditation and being able to sit in that frequency will be very impactful. How we feel about ourselves, how we treat ourselves is how we're showing others that we feel about ourselves and how we want them to treat us. So I need you. I don't need you, but I would love for you to step in this space, honor yourself for how worthy you truly are. Let go of any stories that tell you otherwise and start to live from this frequency, standing up tall, shoulders down and back, heart open, chin up, and know that you are worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of self-love. And I invite you to step into that space. I hope that this was helpful, and I look forward to tuning into these meditations with you next month. Sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. May the longtime sun shine upon you. Sat Nam.